Beacon Press Audio presents School Moms, Parent Activism, Partisan Politics, and the Battle for Public Education by Laura Pappano. This audiobook is narrated by Tracy Parsons. Published by Beacon Press Audio, 2024. Preface. Why Public Schools Matter. I did not plan or even want to write this book. Rather, I had to. Public schools matter to our democracy and to our future, and they are under attack from people who don't really know or care very much about what schools do or how they work. The first thing to reflect on is this: public schools gather everyone. All are invited. There is no test you need to pass. No amount of money or influence or fame you must possess to be allowed in. Do you know how rare that is in America today? This has made public schools the place where people from all backgrounds and circumstances have come together to learn. It is where parents have volunteered and, regardless of their political bent, have worked alongside other parents for a common purpose. The 20th century education reformer John Dewey recognized that public schooling was, yes, about gaining skills and knowledge that would benefit individuals, but that it also helped prepare youth for a communal role. As one scholar put it, Dewey insisted that the training of democratic citizens would not come from abstract study of government or political obligations, but must be rooted in the social relations and experience of the school itself. In other words, the experience of school, not just the curriculum or the facts learned, is the thing. That is now under threat from the far right, and that is why I wrote this book. I have a personal and professional stake in public schools. I am a former PTA mom. I am a volunteer mentor to public school students in grades 3 to 8. I am an education journalist who has spent over 30 years writing about K through 12 and higher education. I am also the product of K through 12 public schools, and even in high school served as a student representative to the New Milford, Connecticut Board of Education. The meetings then were dull compared to what we see now. Coming to them as I did after sports practice and my after-school job working in a darkened New Milford Times building, filing tear sheets so the newspaper could bill its advertisers, I often fell asleep to the comforting drone of adult voices sorting through the mundane business of running the public schools. Growing up as I did with parents who are practically kids themselves, they were 17 when I was born, for me, school presented itself as a beautiful, steadying force, especially after my father left our family when I was 13. Life could be unpredictable. I had been enrolled in 4 different school systems by 6th grade, but I could count on teachers, classmates, and the regular hours spent at tan formica-topped school desks. Each school I attended had its vibe, of course. In one, we baked bread to learn math and wrote reports on history field trips in real black ink with fountain pens. In another, we read the textbook and answered questions at the end of the chapter. But they all had the comforting and familiar rituals that marked a day. Homeroom to recess and dismissal, and the year with its marking periods and vacations, and much anticipated field day in late spring. You got to know kids and became friends, sometimes for dumb reasons, like they said something nice about your lunchbox, or you let them borrow a pencil. I met Fidelia because I was new and she was friendly. Hanging out at her house, I got to discover a vivacious Colombian family and her grandmother's killer arepas, delicious fried cornmeal cakes. Jill lived the middle-class ideal. Her family's home was always clean and well-stocked with snacks, the laundry done daily and folded. And unlike my mom, who worked multiple jobs and left us long lists of chores, her mom had snacks ready that we did not have to clean up after. In high school, I learned that the nerdy guys were hilarious, and as my kids would put it, a good hang. I suspect their politics were different from mine, but I didn't know or need to find out. It just didn't matter. What mattered was that they were willing to put on hand-sewn clown costumes to help me out with my clowns around business, or just sit in somebody's basement rec room and listen to the Rolling Stones and talk for hours. I remember being with these same guys in advanced placement English, and even though things at home were rough with my dad not paying child support and my mom angry about it and all of us broke, I thought about how happy I was. It was largely because school worked. School was the place where, as a kid, I could decide things for myself, including who my friends were, what I cared about, and how hard I was willing to work to succeed. I also learned other things. I would run for class president and lose after one of those guy friends who was also running spread a false rumor that I wanted to get rid of music in the cafeteria at lunch. Who would actually do that? It was a lesson in the power of misinformation. He also lost. This is to say that a lot goes on in school that is not about lesson plans and curriculum. School is about relationships. It is about people trying to improve themselves and connect with others, and through those connections, build a rich community. I personally find the questions and problems of education riveting. This is why I have spent decades trying to make sense of how schools achieve their goals, or don't, and the roles they play in our lives. As a journalist, I have covered a breadth of issues, and over time I have visited hundreds of classrooms. I have watched teachers teach and students learn and interact. I have studied their faces as they worked on problems and observed their body language. I have heard the throwaway banter that erupted between official lessons. I have paid attention to policy as well as to what is on the classroom walls, and to the atmosphere of a school when you walk down the hallway. There has been a lot to write about. I have covered lawsuits over school funding, battles over the teaching of sex education, the rise of standards in testing, the insane competition for elite college admissions, the marketing campaigns of state higher education campuses that once simply sought to serve those in their region or state, and the soaring cost of higher education. I have reported on equity and access, mental health struggles and financial aid, LGBTQ+ students on Christian campuses, the proliferation of educational technology, the quest of low-income first-generation students to belong in elite spaces, on the college or bust mentality and the challenge to it. I have tracked reform movements such as No Child Left Behind, Race to the Top, and the School Turnaround movement. Undertaken research to parse the ways children learn to read, bilingual education, parent-school communication, and the value of computational thinking, analyzed data, and more. Schools don't always get it right. Innovative ideas may fall short of expectations, and some teachers and leaders are simply not up to the task. But I did not write this book to critique personnel or pedagogical approaches. I wrote it because I saw schools, which I have engaged in and written about, being misunderstood and attacked for things that in some cases they do not even do. No one is trying to change the gender of your child. I am not precious or misty-eyed about school. I understand the shortcomings and the trendy ideas that end up broken on the floor, failed notions that were supposed to transform learning. These types of issues are not what is being debated now. The debate that is occurring across the country is not actually about education and schooling. The current tug-of-war is not rooted in a passion for the success of all children. It is not about the skills and knowledge students need to become contributing adults and citizens. Neither is it about differing beliefs in how we raise our own children and instill in them the moral and social values that make them good people and make us proud parents. Rather, this debate is about the hijacking of public education by a far-right Christian movement. It is about the quest to do away with the community-rooted education enterprise.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?